Does your coffee machine sound like this? If so, in this video we're going to show how to fix that, and then also where you can get that replacement part. If you check down in the description, I have that link down in there. You can pick one up for yourself, and that'll get you started. You'll need that in order to get this replacement done. So if you want to go ahead and do that, get that on the way, and then watch the rest of this video. We'll go through how to break it down, replacing the part, and then putting it all back together. This would include the Breville Barista Touch, Express, and Pro, as well as most of the Sage and Breville Grinders as well. Okay, now the next thing will be removing the water tank, disconnecting it from power, and then we'll want to go ahead and remove the bean hopper. So to do that, we'll just take the top off, we'll unlock it, we can go ahead and pick that up and just set that off to the side. And then we just need to remove the beans from here. So I recommend just taking a clean bowl, get those out of there. Okay, so now that we have the bean hopper removed, the next step is going to be removing the burr assembly from the top here. There's many videos online, but we'll just briefly run through it. The tools you'll need are a crescent wrench and a pick. So to do this, the nut is reverse threaded so that as the grinder is spinning, it doesn't back the nut off. So righty loosey, lefty tighty. So we'll go ahead and remove that. So we'll take this and turn it to the right to remove it. Go ahead and get that nut off of there. Be careful, try not to drop it down in there. And it's not a requirement, but it's handy to have something like this just to keep all your parts in one place, and you can kind of separate it. It's magnetic on the bottom. Like I said, not a requirement, but just handy to have. So we'll remove the two washers, the lock washer and then the regular washer here. And this is where that pick comes in handy. Just get these little parts off of there. So then what you'll do is you'll have a bunch of bean fragments in here. Just take a vacuum cleaner and vacuum that out, and you'll continue to vacuum as we go down. So we'll go ahead and remove this upper burr assembly. So to do that, you just lift this tab up and then slide it from lock to align, and then you can pull that out. We'll just set that off to the side. And then now that this is free, we should be able to just grab onto the lower burr assembly, and we can pull that off. And notice that this is keyed here with these, which match up with these two in the bottom there. Set that off to the side. And this is really where the pick comes in handy. You can kind of get up underneath this gear here, grab hold of that and lift that out. So pull that out. Again, set that off to the side. And just be careful here, try not to tear this up or pick it up when you're vacuuming. There's a little felt washer here, which we can reuse. You can buy replacements of these, but if you're careful, you can just reuse it. And then there's one more washer right here. We can just catch the edge of that and lift that off. Now that we have all those parts removed, we can go ahead and vacuum that thoroughly like I've already done, just to get it all cleaned out. Just makes the cleanup process a little bit easier, and it keeps it clean as you're taking the machine apart. So now that we have the burr assembly completely disassembled, the next step will be going ahead and removing this top cover here. In order to do that, there's two screws, one here located where the tamper goes, and then there's one located here, as well as 5 across the back. But to start, let's go ahead and pull the 2 on the front while we're here. So we'll go ahead and pull the tamper and just set that out of the way. Then we will get a regular Phillips head screwdriver, and this is not super important, but just to speed things up, I'm going to be using a small impact driver, and I've had that set to low. That way we can just go ahead and pull those out more quickly. You can go ahead and pull the drip tray and set that off to the side. That way we can easily get to our screws. And they're located, one here, right where the tamper is, and then one down here. Sorry I can't show you super easily, but you'll be able to see the small holes there if you look for them. You can just move the frother out of the way. Okay, so now that we have the front 2 screws removed, let's go ahead and spin it around. This is where that screw gun's going to come in handy. There's 5 screws located across the top here, so let's go ahead and pull those out. Okay, and just so you know, these 5 are the same as the front 2, so you don't have to keep them separate. Now that we have those removed, we'll need to remove this small plastic tab that's covering a screw that's located way down in the bottom here. So to do that, we can use a razor blade or a pick to do that. I'm going to start with a razor blade and try and get this removed. And that came out of there. And that's what that looks like, in case you're wondering. So you just need to catch the edge of it and kind of pry it out. Then we'll need to use a regular screwdriver, drop that down in there, and you'll kind of feel it catch. And then go ahead and back that out. Make sure you want to make sure that this one's completely removed, so you don't have any other issues. I do have a magnetic screwdriver, so I'll go ahead and pull that out. This one's got some water on it there. That's why we go ahead and dry that up. So now that we've got that done, we'll go ahead and pull the top off the machine. And just be ginger with it. You don't want to go too hard. There is a cable on the inside here. You just don't want to tear that off. So just remove it carefully. And then right here, we'll go ahead and disconnect this power cable. It's just held in by this little catch right here, so you can just carefully remove that, and we'll just set this out of the way. Now that we have these upper 5 screws removed and this one removed, we'll go ahead and lay it on its side like this. And then there's 4 screws that we need to remove down here, which I've already gone ahead and done. The 2 that hold the feet on, and then also there's 2 screws, one in this gray clip here and one down here. And those are the same as the other ones. You can go ahead and remove those. The next step is going to be removing the whole back covering. So to do that, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and pull it back a little bit like this, and then we'll want to disconnect the water level sensor for the tank, which is connected on right here. And just so you can see that, all you have to do is pull this tab back here and then go ahead and pull that out. So now that we've done that on the side, let's go ahead and disconnect the water connection that holds on this piece. So to do that, you kind of just have to lay it down like we had it before, and go ahead and come in from the bottom right here, and there's 2 screws that hold that on. Okay, and so now that we've got that disconnected, and just so you know, it goes in these 2 screws here, screw holes. We don't have to completely remove that. We can just set that off. Okay, so we're almost there. All we need to do is go ahead and remove the 4 screws that hold in this gear assembly, pull that apart, flip it over, and then right here is where that main gear is, and that's our culprit. The next step we want to do is go ahead and take a Sharpie, a marker, or something like that, and make a mark on this outer housing here, which you can see this mark right here, and it goes up this gear. That way we keep it in the same orientation. And then we also want to make a mark here so that we get this main gear to line up with that drive gear there. The next thing we'll want to do is go ahead and pull this screw for the course adjustment. And this screw is different, so make sure you don't lose that one. You can just take it out real carefully and then kind of tilt it and pull it out of the machine like that. And we'll just keep that with the screw in it off to the side. The next thing we need to do is remove this white box and this white box here. So to do that, we'll just go ahead and pull these 2 screws here. Just kind of pull that and set it off to the side. Okay, so now that we have those 4 screws removed, we'll go ahead and just wiggle this cover and pull it so we can get it moved up and out of the way. And we don't have to completely get this pulled out, we just need a little bit of room to work here. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and, we've got this loose. We'll we'll want to go ahead and free up these cables so that we have a little bit of working room here. So there's some cables that are located on the side over here, blue, white, black, and orange. So just go ahead and get those fished out of that little channel there to give ourselves some room to work. Now that we've got those cables free, we can go ahead and pull it up and we can see what we're working with here. So if we just spin this around, we can see our wires here. Disassembly here. And all we need to do is pull the screws that are located on this metal plate, and that'll free it up so that we can access that gear. And notice these screws are much smaller, so we'll keep those separate as well. Okay, so now that we've got that detached, we can go ahead and pull out. So in order to access the gear, what you'll do is you'll go ahead and pull this part out, set it off to the side. Then what you can do is you grab the spacer that's provided. And again, if you need that, link is down in the description. You just slide that spacer to the bottom there. And then you take this and you slide it down on top of that. And it should just drop straight in there like that. Then what you do is you take this gear, put that right back through, should match right up. And now you've got that new replacement that's been upgraded, is reinforced, and you shouldn't have any other problems with it. So now we start the reassembly process. So to do that, we'll just go ahead and put this back. Okay, so now that we have everything lined back up, we'll go ahead and put our 4 small Phillips head screws back in there. So the next step, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get this repositioned where it goes, and then fish those wires in down here, and then we're going to go ahead and put the upper coarse grinder adjustment knob back on. So let's go ahead and do that. And you want to route these wires here where they're not going to get hung up or damaged or anything. Now that we've got that repositioned, we'll go ahead and put our wires back where they go in that little channel. Okay, so now that we've got those wires re-ran in that channel, we'll go ahead and mount this white cover box back. Just go ahead and set that back where it goes. Good. And now we'll take those 4 thinner, longer screws, not the 2 that we removed from the feet, but the thinner, longer ones. We'll go ahead and get those screwed back in. Okay, so now that we have this cover reinstalled, what we'll do is we'll go ahead and reinstall this one. And as a note, the 2 screws that go here are similar in size to all the other ones, but they are just a slight bit bigger around, and that's just to catch those threads. So just keep in mind that. What we'll do is we'll go ahead and just flip this back around, lining up those 2 screw holes, and it kind of locks in on top of that. Then what we'll do is we'll go ahead and get these started. So now that we have this box mounted, the next thing we'll do is go ahead and remount the coarse grinder adjustment. And remember, we did keep that screw in there, so we'll just go ahead and fish this back down in here. You just got to be real careful. Kind of come in at an angle like this. I'm just going to hold on to that for a second. With our black line realigned here, and our grinder adjustment positioned centered over the screw hole, we'll go ahead and thread our screw back in, holding that back into place. And just the reason that we do this is just so that for our coarse adjustment, it knows the right position. So we put it back to right where it was before.
I just wanted to take a moment here to indicate that you need to put the 4 screws in to hold the grinder assembly in place. Don't forget that.
So the next step is going to be remounting this rear cover. So as you're mounting this hose back, I would recommend getting your screws started into these black attachments here. That just makes it easier to go ahead and be able to thread that in. It's not required, but it can be pretty tricky to get a screwdriver in there. So just go ahead and get those started. You can put your black rubber boot on there. Just line that up. And then you'll feel kind of where it goes. And you just kind of position it in there straight with the opening best you can. You can stick a finger through and help kind of guide it into place. And then come in from the bottom like this. Once you kind of got it lined up, and get your screws going. Okay, so now that we've got the water hose reconnected, we'll go ahead and flip this back up. And I did this before. You definitely do not want to forget to reconnect your water level sensor. This goes back in this clip right here. And to do that, you just feed it in. You feed it into the clip on the right hand side here. It clips right in real easy like that. If you don't connect this, it will constantly error out and it won't let you make espresso, and you'll have to pull it back apart all the way to here just to get that reconnected. So you don't want to forget that. Next, we'll go ahead and push this into place right where it goes. And you can get those clips attached in the bottom, and that holds it into place. We can go ahead and flip it back on its side here and come in from the bottom. We'll attach the 2 feet screws. Those are those longer ones, and then we'll attach in, and we'll put 2 screws in these gray spots here. We've got the 2 feet screws reattached, and then these 2 here. Now we can go ahead and tip this back up. Go ahead and drop our screw down in there. And this is kind of tricky to get this screw lined up. I like to have a magnetic screwdriver and try and real carefully line that up with that hole down there. You can kind of feel it drop in, and then go ahead and thread that back in. Okay, so we've got that reattached. We'll go ahead and take our plug and put that back in there. That just keeps water from getting down in that screw hole. And then we'll go ahead and thread our 5 screws across the top here, but not before we go ahead and put our cover back on. So let's go ahead and get our cover. We'll take our cover and reattach it to this wire connector here. And then we'll fish the wire into this channel back where it was. Okay. Okay, so now that we've got our cover back on, we'll go ahead and put the 5 screws across the top back here. All right, we've got those 5 back in there. We'll go ahead and spin it back around. And this one, we'll go ahead and put those 2 screws in, back in those 2 holes in the front there. So we've gotten those 2 front screws in. Next thing we need to do is reinstall the burr assembly. So to do that, we'll start with our little felt washer. Go ahead and drop that in, position that around that copper washer there. Next, we will drop in our larger washer on top of the copper washer. Next, we take our keyed gear and we drop that in on top. And it only goes one way there, so it fits in around that. Then we take our lower burr and we line the keys up with that one. Drops in like that. Next thing we do is we put our regular washer on, then our lock washer to keep that nut from backing off. And this will move to the left in order to tighten. Go ahead and shift that to the left. And what we'll do is we'll just take a wrench, go ahead and snug that up. It doesn't have to be crazy tight because it does have that lock washer, but you just don't want it to back off. Okay. Then we take our upper burr assembly, we line it up right there, lift up this tab, and turn that to lock it in. We can put our tool storage away, reinstall our drip tray. reinstall our tamper. Drop in our bean hopper. And reinstall our water tank. So we've got the new gear installed. That upgraded gear will hopefully last a lot longer than our previous gear did, the OEM. The advantages to carbon fiber nylon are wear resistance, a stronger material. It should last much longer. So now that we've got all that done, let's go ahead and test it. What a difference. Working like a charm now. Now we can make fresh espresso and use the machine without paying a fortune to get it fixed.